Last year, when most investors were watching their stocks plummet, one Wall Street legend had an unfair advantage that was identifying winning stocks with massive upside, like Riot Blockchain before it shot up 10,000%, Digital Turbine before it shot up 789%, and Overstock before it shot up over 1,000%. This power gauge comes from the legendary Mark Chaikin. And right now you can get a free in-depth look at how his power gauge system works. A way to type in any of the 4,000 different tickers and see exactly where the stock is most likely to go next and in any type of market. Simply go to powergaugetrial.com for your free look. Again, that's powergaugetrial.com for your free look. All right, let's get to our segment today. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to Stansberry Research. My guest today is a best-selling author who has been warning about inflation, saying that if a can of tuna were to hit $25, well, most Americans would be doomed, and well, the USA as a whole would be as well. Joining me back today is a fan favorite, Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert, always a treat when you're on. Thanks for coming back.
Well, thank you. I want to keep things in perspective. Like I've been saying to people, silver is still 50% its all-time high of $50 is 25 bucks. But the question is, if a can of tuna hits 25 bucks, what does silver go to? And that's what I'm concerned about. And and every year, every time you talk to me, Danielle, I wish I had better news, but it gets worse. It just gets worse.
And on that note, I don't know how many times I've interviewed you now, countless over, the span of 10 years. And I don't think I've ever seen you so concerned, so vocal. I've been reading and all your latest tweets. Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at the Oscars. Biden slaps Putin on the world stage. It's toxic masculinity. The world is in trouble. The national debt is going to go through the roof. Biden is causing inflation and blaming Putin. Dollar's about to implode. I want to talk about that with you. So you're saying buy more gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana before this World War III. Okay, so there's a lot of thoughts there. So let's start with the dollar that you say is on the verge of imploding. How far out are we from that, and what will be the catalyst, the major catalyst? There's a lot, but what is it for you?
Well, there's a guy, Jordan Peterson, he's a Canadian, and he says, you think tough men are dangerous, and Trump was a tough man. But he says, watch what weak men will do. And this guy Biden is the worst I have ever seen. The man is senile. And today what's happening is Russia and China are now ganging up on the US. It's really a dangerous world right now. It's getting worse. So every time you interview me when Trump was in power, I was a bit optimistic. But now we have the weakest, most corrupt government. You know, what happened to Hunter Biden's laptop? If the FBI loses his laptop, there's something really sick inside this country. And so that's kind of what I gauge all my macroeconomics on is, where is Hunter Biden's laptop? I mean, how can the FBI lose it? We have no financial education in our schools. So that's what I'm concerned about. My biggest concern, Danielle, with Russia and China are ganging up on us. As we all know, America produces nothing anymore. We produce bubbles. We just blow air bubbles. So we now have this bubble in real estate and stocks and bonds. And then when Biden took the Keystone pipeline, XL pipeline off, just wiped us out here. Inflation goes up, and the average American doesn't have $1,000. 40% of Americans don't have $1,000. And so when inflation goes up, we're going to wipe out 50% of the US population. And that is when revolution starts. And so if and when, and it will come down, the stock market crashes, the 401k, the old guys like me are toast. We don't have a retirement. Our pensions are bust. So what we have are three things is our treasury is out of control. We've lost it. Our entitlements out of control. And now we're at war in the Defense Department. So our debt to GDP is out. So every time I talk to Danielle, I said, I wish I could have some good news. So that's why I did the tuna can to a silver eagle comparison. We're in trouble.
Yeah, and that really does help put things in perspective. And
Yeah.
you're an advocate of protecting yourself. We've spoken about this in the past about gold, silver. You like Bitcoin, you like Ethereum. A new one that you've added is Solana. Now I know that there's some people advocating that Solana is the next Bitcoin, but why did you add this now? Why do you like it?
As we all know, there's insiders to every deal. I don't have any stocks. I don't invest in the stock market, but they're my companies on the stock market. So the best deals are always done early. So when people say, "Do you invest in Bitcoin?" Yes, when it was $6,000. So Solana is still early and it's got a possibility. It's a long shot. It's the same as a can of tuna. A can of tuna may be worth more than Solana. We've got to know what's real today. And that's what I'm saying. We have the weak leadership in world history. America's in serious trouble. So I want to find out what's real. And China and Russia are now ganging up on us. We went to Venezuela and Iran to buy oil from them. And this guy Biden cuts off our oil supply.
Would you add other cryptos to your portfolio? Would you be looking at,
Not really. I'd rather have a can of tuna right now.
so you want to
I
limit
hate,
it. So you're good with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and now Solana.
yeah, but no, actually, I went to a can of tuna because you can. No, Daniela, because everybody talks about intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? I can eat tuna. That's valuable. And if you're starving, I'd rather have a can of tuna than Solana. And
Well,
so,
yeah.
all these years you've known me, I'm always kind of a Rodney Dangerfield of the financial circuit. I like to
Yeah.
make fun of things because otherwise people can't hear you. They get too serious about this. So I'm just saying that we're in serious trouble, serious, serious, and it's getting worse. That's what terrifies me.
just just a little longer on cryptos here because you've also been vocal about the fact that the government will come for crypto. You talked about the regulation. So how do you put that into perspective? Like you're comfortable owning crypto, but you feel that regulation is coming.
Yes. Well, that's if they go to the government crypto, the government Bitcoin, or whatever they call it.
Right,
They'll
Fed
trace.
coin. Right.
It's Big Brother at that point. They're going to be knowing everything you're doing. So, Daniela, for years, I've been buying those green canisters of silver coins because the government can't trace them. I can use them for money. So I can go anywhere in the world with a silver coin and spend it. I can go with a gold coin and spend it without being traced. Not that I'm hiding anything. I'm just sick and tired of this government. I don't trust them. As I said, if Hunter Biden's laptop disappears in FBI custody, we have a serious, serious, serious internal problem here. And so that's why tongue in cheek, tweeted that I'd rather have a can of tuna right now than a silver coin just to get ridiculous. Get ridiculous because I can eat tuna. I cannot eat that silver coin. I can spend it.
You were also warned about the repo market inversion. Our friend George Gammon does a lot of work on that. And you said that last time this happened was in '08. So be
Right.
careful. Recession and crash are coming. Weak
Yeah.
businesses and greedy investors to fail. In 2008, you borrowed 300 million to buy great real estate at bargain prices. Time to get rich coming again. Time to get smart, not greedy. So there's always opportunity, right? Let's talk about opportunities. Let's add some optimism here amongst all the negativity of, how can we make money here?
Well, always remember America has stopped producing products. We produce bubbles. Now, the good thing about a bubble is when they burst, everything goes on sale. And so in 2008, I waited till about 2010. I borrowed 300 million because debt is money, as you know, after 71. And I began buying real estate at bargain prices. So just recently, the repo market inverted again, which means we're going down. It means recession's ahead. But my concern is now revolution, because when people can't afford to eat tuna, we're going to have rioting. So it's a whole different type of bubble burst. When Biden took us off the pipeline, oil prices went up. Oil produces fertilizer. And when fertilizer is no longer cheap, people can't produce food. And the average American has nothing. 40% of Americans have nothing. Inflation is going to make them very upset. A stock market crash will bring down the baby boomers. So we're in serious, serious trouble here. So I'm just being ridiculous in my tweets because it's better than listening to Biden, that I'd rather have a can of tuna right now. That's what I'm saying, is that at least I can eat it.
Robert, when you, I'm going to send you a case of tuna, but before it hits 25 bucks. But when you talk about a revolution, do you see that happening like US or global, or what does that look like for you?
Well, I'm a U.S. Marine. I fought in Vietnam twice as a pilot. I've seen what happens when the communists, what people can see in the Ukraine, communists always kill civilians. And that's what people don't realize. And as a Marine, they sent kids and women after us. So a lot of my friends who came back with PTSD, and you can see it in the Ukraine today, Russia's not hitting military targets. They're hitting civilian targets. And when you understand communism, and this is my latest book here, it's called the Capitalist Manifesto, I am a student of communism. So this here is, when 65, I had to read this book here, 48 pages, one of the most influential books in world history. But nobody's read the book. They don't know what Marx said. But what Marx said, they had to have the poor get poor and the middle class come down. And that was the recipe for revolution. And I see Biden doing it when he took the Keystone XL pipeline and took us off of it, and oil prices went up. Now, the thing is, Danielle, I got richer because I produce oil. I don't invest in oil. I don't invest in Shell or Exxon and all that. I invest in oil wells. So when oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel, I got richer, but I also got more concerned for my fellow human beings. They can't afford to live at $130 a gallon, a barrel oil. And so that's why in my tweets, I just get ridiculous about it. Hopefully somebody will listen. Yeah, I can eat
Yeah,
tuna.
I think a lot of people are listening. I think, and I've spoken about this with other experts because we've been talking about this a long time.
Yes,
And some people might say, oh, well, Robert and those guys are crazy. But if you look at the situation in Ukraine, look what people have had to use now: gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever, crypto, as a lifeline, right? They could no longer depend on the system
correct.
for access to liquidity. So what do you make about that? Is that, when you see this?
Well, I'm doing my best to explain to people, watch, I'm a U.S. Marine. I went to the academies. When you see the Russians hitting civilian targets, it doesn't register in most people's minds because Americans haven't seen war. It's really sad. I mean, Danielle, our press, our school system, our academic system is so Marxist. That's why I love coming on your program, but it's getting to the point of being ridiculous right now. So I tweet, I'd rather save tuna than
Save
silver.
tuna. Um,
You know?
so I guess just to like sum up here, Robert, I read something Jamie Dimon recently said that he feels there's three forces shaping the world, that will shape the world over the next several decades. So the U.S. Economy rebounding from COVID, high inflation that will usher in an era of rising rates, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which will create a humanitarian crisis. So, I'm hearing from you all these three things, right? If I heard you correctly, will lead to this revolution. Do you agree
Well,
that those are the
that's
three major threats?
read this book. That's what he said. This book was in 1848, and he says communism would come in two stages to America. First would be socialism, and that happened in 1930 when the Frankfurt School of Germany sent teachers to Columbia University, Teachers College. And then in 1968, when I was in school in New York, that's when the rioting in the college campuses began. That led to Kent State and Berkeley and Woodstock and all this. And then the second stage would take place, and in my opinion, it's in this humble opinion, in 2020 when they took down President Trump, that was the corruption of our media. That's communism. I hate to say that, but I am a U.S. Marine, 2 tours in Vietnam. And I've seen if you understand that communists kill their own people, Mao killed his own people. Stalin killed their own people. Americans try and stop that from happening. And then our own press. I mean, I came back from Vietnam in 73. I got spit on, hit by eggs, called a baby killer. And I'm still a little bit bitter about that, but it prepared me for today. Our school system should teach us about money.
I guess just one final point, because I know you've been tweeting a lot about China as well. Do you think it'll be interesting, or how do you think the relationships will evolve here? I mean, now that Russia's been banished, the repercussions of the sanctions will be felt, for years here. How will this play out geopolitically? Russia's relationship with China, China's relationship with the US, and we have Saudi Arabia. I mean, how does this play out for you? Do you see a major shift happening?
It's the end of America. We have communists, as a Marine we would say, inside the wire. They're inside our government, they're inside our school systems, they're inside Hollywood, and they're inside Silicon Valley. And that's why I wrote this book here, the Capitalist Manifesto. I said, we've got to fight back. And we fight back with information and education, not weapons.
I know you're good friends with President Trump. Do you think he'd
Yes.
he'd run again?
And that was the last time, Danielle, when you would interview me, I was optimistic. We had a strong man in office. And as Jordan Peterson says, he says, if you think tough men are dangerous, just watch what weak men can do. And we're watching the weakest president, I think, in my time. I mean, Carter was pretty weak. But this guy, Biden, is corrupt. And Kamala, oh my God. She's next in line and Pelosi's next in line. So God help me. That's Biden's best insurance policy he's got. Because you get Kamala and you get Nancy Pelosi as next in office. Holy mackerel! You may as well just bring Che Guevara back to power.
Robert Kiyosaki, you really
I
are the
wish it was better, but
danger field.
the last time was when Trump was in power. I could talk with optimism to you.
I
Now,
know. I feel like I don't know. I need to
the,
go have a
the good
glass
news
of
is you and
whiskey.
I know I'm getting richer and richer and richer because I own gold mines. I own oil producers. I don't own stocks. I'm a producer, not a bubble maker. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so when
you actually
Biden
go
cut off,
out and buy the actual gold mine.
yeah, when Biden cut down the XL pipeline, he made me a rich man because oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel. I produce oil. I produce gold. I produce silver. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't play the stock market, but I am concerned about my fellow human being. I don't care what you are, white, left, pink, green, pink. I am concerned because 50% of Americans are broke. Inflation is going to wipe us out.
Oof. All right. Inflation's going to wipe us out. Anything you'd like to add to that, Robert? Take it home. Final thoughts for our viewers.
Buy tuna.
There you go, folks.
I
There,
just,
you
I
know
just
what?
want to
You
get to
just increased the price of tuna. So
I
I'm
saw it
gonna
on
go.
sale at Safeway the other day. I loaded
Hey,
up.
wait, Robert. Robert, the question is water packed or olive oil packed?
I don't care right now. I'll eat both.
You don't care. All
Can't eat.
right, there you go.
I can't eat silver. I can eat tuna. I was just getting
It's coming your
ridiculous.
way.
It's getting ridiculous, Danielle.
Robert Kiyosaki, thank you for making us smile today. Buy tuna, folks. There you go.
Thank
Always a
you.
pleasure. Thanks, Robert. Come
Thank you.
back soon. And thank you all for watching. We'll have more for you on Stansberry Research. You got to keep it a little light, folks. Uh, and don't forget, sign up so you stay on top of all the latest videos coming your way at danielacamboni.com. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.